So you may remember in the deep recesses of your brain that creepy shop teacher in Canada who decided to sexualize the kids in his shop class, getting them involved in his weird fetish life. The guy uses the name Kayla Lemieux and then shows up to class at Oakville Trafalgar School wearing gigantic prosthetic breasts, apparently emulating a style of Japanese pornography called exploding milk porn. Not making this up. Wish we were. The Halton District School Board and the Oakville Trafalgar School have defended this guy. Now, finally, some parents are considering legal action. Rishi Bandhu is with the Bandhu law firm. He's also a parent of a ninth grader, at Oakville. He joins us to explain. We sure appreciate your coming on tonight. And thank you for having the bravery to make your position public. What is your position about this shop teacher?
Well, thanks for having me, Tucker. We really appreciate your interest in this. Well, what we've done is we've asked the board essentially to do three things. Number one is we've asked them to apply the student dress code to the teachers because one doesn't exist for the teachers. And in our view, it's just illogical and absurd to suggest that the teachers would be held to a lower standard than the students in terms of their attire. Secondly, once we've established what that standard is, if the school board is creating exceptions from that standard, we want to know specifically what those exceptions are. Yes. And then thirdly, we would like the school board to cease and desist from interfering with the right of the parents to discuss this matter. And they've repeatedly done that in school council meetings since the beginning of the year. What this reveals is their priorities, and they seem much more concerned with protecting and affirming this guy's personal sexual journey than they are with your kids. And it's a school. Shouldn't they be primarily concerned with the kids who go to the school? Well, I do agree with that. And look, this is an issue about gender identity and expression, and human rights by their nature are complex, but gender identity and expression are relatively new grounds that have been introduced into the Ontario's code in 2012. So we don't have a lot of jurisprudence or yes, direction from that from our tribunal or the courts. And so I think what the board is doing is they've taken an overly risk-averse approach to this issue. And look, I can understand and appreciate that. They have a diversity and inclusion mandate, and as a racialized person with racialized children in those schools, I commend that approach and I appreciate that. However, what they're missing is that when it comes to human rights and particularly gender identity and expression, context is important, and there's a very delicate balancing of interests that have to happen here. And I don't think that they've done that appropriately. And as you've pointed out, Tucker, I think the context that they're missing here is that this is a school, and these are children and they're adolescents, and their maturity is still developing. Now, on the other hand, I think there's some extreme views taken of this as well, which say that transgendered individuals don't have any rights under the law. And the problem is that that's an extreme view, and the parents that I represent and the parents that support them are being labeled as discriminatory or bigoted. Yeah. And that's the problem. It polarizes us, and what we need is a constructive approach, some constructive dialogue, and some common sense on this issue.
Well, you're not going to get constructive dialogue if no dialogue is allowed, if parents aren't allowed to talk. So I hope at the very least you win that battle and get freedom of speech back. I think that's a prerequisite. Rishi Bandhu, I appreciate your coming on.
I'm hopeful that we will.
Amen.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.